The views and opinions expressed in the following are the sole responsibility of the sponsor and not this station.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Golfsoup. As always, I'm your host, James Leith. This week for our episode of Golfsoup, it's going to be vastly different than anything we've ever done. We're going to take a look, as I mentioned on our last episode, things happening over here at the mill adjacent from the golf course, and a lot's transpired with us. We can now speak more freely about it, and we want to kind of bring the story of the environmental disaster that it's turned into over there, and a lot to go into. Appreciate you guys tuning us in. I'm not going to talk very long because we've got a lot to discuss over there. Take a quick commercial break, hear from our great sponsor, Larry Hill Ford, and I'll join you on the other side.
Come see for yourself why Larry Hill Ford in Cleveland has been awarded Tennessee Ford Dealer of the Year for the third year in a row. Go to DealerRater.com, read the reviews, then decide where you want to buy your next new Ford.
I'm down here at Larry Hill Ford in Cleveland, Tennessee. I just got an awesome deal on a new Focus. You should come down here and see these guys. They'll give you a great deal.
Take I-75 to exit 20 and go 1 mile east, or go online to Larry Hill on.
Welcome back to Golfsoup, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank John Scher for that video that you guys saw. That was shot in 2013 as the mill was being deconstructed. It was a little past halfway being constructed at that time. Looks very, very much different today than it does now, and you guys are going to get to see that in just a minute. But before we go too much further and get to the ultimate goal of telling you our plans here and what we hope to accomplish, I think it's proper that we revisit the very, very rich history that the Lupton City Dixie Yarns plant has to offer. So let's look back a lot of years in time. Dixie Yarns actually went in business in 1916. Their mother plant was downtown at Watkins Street, but in the 1920s, a process called mercerizing made it beneficial for J.T. Lupton, which was Jack's father. We all know him from the Coca-Cola monarchy that they have. Built the Lupton City plant out here so that it was actually the spinning mill out here and where the mercerizing took place. It was a economic juggernaut. This was the epicenter of a lot of the money that went through Chattanooga as its own. In fact, this was a 1,000-acre campus when Mr. Lupton and a couple other businessmen built this place. Pardon me. Once the plant out here was completed in 1922, soon after, the village followed, which is the houses that surrounded the mill on the 1,000-acre campus. The villages were controlled by the plant. You guys, many of us have heard horror stories about the owing my soul to the company store and the coal mine villages or communities, stuff like this. But this one was a very different product. The people seemed to be extremely happy with the way that things ran around here. Soon after the villages was created, soon followed schools, or a school. After the school was put in, you had the church, post office, the gymnasium was built, movie theater, which actually those two were combined. The movie theater and gymnasium were in the same building, and that building still stands today. They even had medical and dental personnel, paid personnel. That it wasn't like insurance that we have today. They actually had the doctor and the dentist on staff here so that the entire community would have access to that health care. Just a really good company, profitable for year after year after year. The mill thrived, the mill and the village thrived, starting out with some 20 houses, eventually turned into approximately 400 houses here in the village. So people were coming far and wide, trading in their plows for a paycheck at the mill. And it ran just beautifully for years and years until, once the war came and went and automobiles were much more accessible, people started to venture away from the village community. Transportation was so much easier. However, anyone who lived in the mill got the opportunity to purchase their property at a extremely reasonable rate. As I said, Dixie Yarn is just a great company all the way around. It wasn't until the 1980s that things really started to change around here, and not a huge change at first, but the future was seen by Dan Frierson, who is still Dixie Group today. A lot of cheap yarn was coming in from Taiwan and Hong Kong and overseas, and he could see the writing on the wall that carpet textiles were going to be the next big thing over here, in America anyway, and they started transitioning slowly, very slowly transitioning, but eventually over the next 20, 30 years, it did happen. And in 1999, Dixie Yarns ceased to exist, and the Dixie Group was built. It's still in operation today, still a very good company, still very strong economically. However, this mill was, its future was up in the air. In 1999, R.L. Stowe came in and started operating the mill, operated it under very different circumstances, both socially and economically, and stayed in business for 10 years, and in 2009 it was shut down for its doors closed for the last time as far as a working textile mill. We're coming up on the old gym down here to my left as we come up, and sports was a very, very important part of this entire community and the mill itself. A lot of you remember the stories, Field of Dreams, where people would play for companies, a lot of amateur ball or being played, semi-ball being played. In fact, when I took over at the golf course, I discovered 3 beautiful trophies. You can see 2 of them right here. I'm showing them to you. The third one I gave away to a lady who had just lost her husband, and her husband's name was on that trophy, and it just seemed fitting. It didn't mean that much to me, but it meant the world to her, so I gave it to her. But a lot of very good ball players came through this, and it was, you know, the community supported around it. And as I said, here's the old gym there. Post office used to be directly beside it. You can see where the red tin is. That is not original. That was where the post office was up against it. And I remember when they took the post office away, what a great big deal it was to the citizens of Lupton City, even though at that time I had never actually even been over here. But it was very big news because this community has never had mailboxes. They always just came down to the post office to get their mail. Today, Huck Hallman, one of the longtime members, and actually grew up in a house on the golf course property, which was owned by the mill, is the mailman over there and hand delivers the routes. But inside, as I mentioned too, it served double duty as a movie theater, and I can only imagine, and Brad and I have been in there, you know, many times, and just looking at it and going up top where they projected the movies, and thinking about, you know, all the movies that were shown during wartime and all the war promos that were put in the movies, just massive amounts of history lost here in Lupton City. I'm now standing more toward the end of the mill, actually on some of a concrete pad that is a newer addition of the mill. The original mill was built on wood. It was amazing construction, and we're going to get a lot more into that in a little while. But basically they poured asphalt and then put creosote treated 2x8 boards and built the entire mill, 800,000 square feet built on that. And that tells you how much lumber is still left here, and we hope to find someone who can put that to use. But this is, it's mind-boggling, and the camera will never ever do it justice of how much rubble is here. You really got to come out and see it for yourself, and you'll just, every time I come over here, time after time after time, I'm just amazed and blown away, and feel like streaking away from doing anything over here. But then again, I see it as one huge challenge to help facilitate the cleanup of this site and restore Lupton City to one of its greater days, some of its greater moments. Back to our timeline, like I said, 2009, the Lupton City plant closed its doors for operation for the last time. For the next 3 years, it pretty much sat dormant. A lot of the machinery that was left was taken out. the big stuff anyway, that had some value to it, taken out and shipped overseas. Once that was complete, then a little bit of scrapping was done here and there. But during those 3 years actually proved to be very lucrative for Brad and I as we became friends with the gentleman who maintained the building over here, and we come in and man, the antiques that we pulled out of this place, we pulled so much good stuff with so much history out of this place, and you know, a lot of it went to eBay to people who really appreciate it, and we were having a very good time exploring this mill. You can't imagine, you know, Brad and I are both still kids at heart, and for 3 years we would come over and there's 800,000 square feet to go through, and it seemed like every time we came over we'd find something new, another cubby hole or something that we haven't visited, and of course a lot of the time we spent working actually trying to make money at this site during the wintertime when there was nothing else to do, especially at the golf business. But behind me you see one of the lone structures left that did not get torn down, that's going to have to get torn down, and we're going to talk more about that particular structure too. But in 2012, April 2012, DG Construction took over here, bought the plant with the specific reason of deconstructing it and taking the extremely valuable materials that the mill was built out of. Heart pine, which there's still a lot left, is a very lucrative wood right now, particularly in beam form, and there were many great heart pine beams here. The floors were actually built out of heart pine beams as well, still a lot of them left over here. But they came in and, you know, started, you know, taking out copper to begin with, and they went to the scrap metal. Then they actually started deconstructing the building. Of course, when they came in, they said all the right things and shook all the right hands and told us that, you know, 2 years they'd be in and out, and this place would have a clean bill of health. They would sell the property, possibly build apartments or senior complexes, and it started becoming apparent to us that was not going to happen. The schedule that they gave us they were nowhere close to. They did not have the manpower in here to actually get the job done, and little by little our fears began to reign true, as we were afraid they would walk off and leave it, and that's exactly what happened. It has been walked off, left. The owners have absolutely no intentions of doing one more bit of cleanup, not one more shovel load, not one more bobcat load. There's no intentions for them, the people who presently own it, to do anything. Now, I want to be very clear. I'm working closely with one of the owners of DG Construction. That company is now defunct. But Christian Morton, who was the field supervisor for this job and a partner in it, he and I are working closely to try to come to an arrangement that we can get this cleaned up. So Christian is not by any means he has turned his back on the project, but he's still trying to work with us as far as finding a way to get out of this mess that's here. We'll talk a lot more about that on the other side of the break. We're going to take a quick TV time out and hear from our great sponsor, Larry Hill Ford. And when we come back, we'll tell you not so much about the history of the place, but what we see as the future of the place, and kind of appeal to our viewers for help. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Come see for yourself why Larry Hill Ford in Cleveland has been awarded Tennessee Ford Dealer of the Year for the 3rd year in a row. Go to dealerrater.com, read the reviews, then decide where you want to buy your next new Ford.
It's my 3rd time to buy a car from Larry Hill. I had a wonderful experience, treated me great. I recommend it to anybody that wants to buy a new vehicle.
Take I-75 to exit 20 and go 1 mile east, or go online to larryhillonline.com.
Welcome back to Golfsoup, ladies and gentlemen. As always, thank you to our great sponsor, Larry Hill Ford there, who so graciously sponsors Golfsoup. I know this is a very different episode of Golfsoup, but I felt that we really need to start getting this story out to the public. We're going to, be going through as many avenues as we possibly can to try to help facilitate the cleanup of this place, because at this point it could infinitely sit here if somebody does not get involved. And you guys also saw coming back the montage pictures of all the devastation. For this shot, I said, Brad, let me just get in front of this pile of rubble for this shot, and Brad, just pick your pile. I mean, it's mind-blowing how much is here. But ladies and gentlemen, 90% of what is left here is still salvageable, still usable. From the creosote treated timbers, 50,000 plus of them sitting here. Brick can be used. Everybody could use a load of brick around their house, whether it be the pavers that we have, the 3-hole brick, the 6-hole brick, the industrial brick that we have, the block, the heart pine that is still here. If somebody out there knows their wood, there's a small little fortune to be fetched just in the heart pine. Not only that's bundled up for us down there, but it's still just laying loose around the site, can be pulled out, bundled up, sold. That stuff brings an absolute premium price. Some of the wood that's not going to be good for construction of anything, be great for firewood. In fact, we come over here on a daily basis and grab a big load, take it back over there and burn it in the fireplace. It makes great stuff, campfires, whatever it may be. A lot of the brick that has been crushed and crumbled, we hope to separate it at some point and use it as aggregate fill. Whether you've got a driveway that you need to shore up, parking area you need to shore up, rather than getting an expensive load of gravel, come see us and we'll set you up. But our focus from here forward is to try to get the place cleaned up. Brad and I have obtained the salvage rights to this piece of property. We want to obtain the piece of property. That's something that's going to take a lot to happen and may never happen. I don't know, it's going to be an uphill battle for sure. But in the meantime, there is nobody who's willing to do anything with this. They look at it as just nothing but a humongous mess. And one side says, well, make the city clean it up. Well, the city's not going to clean this up. This isn't their job. So we would like to invite you, as the viewer, as the public, if you see anything over here that you could put to use, and I promise you there is tons and tons of stuff that can be put to use, give us a shout at info@luptonproject.com. Again, right here, info@luptonproject.com. We're going to break away from here in just a second and look at some of the material so that you can see some of the good stuff that is still left here, and something you may be interested in using around your home. Like I say, building decks, driveways, so many paver bricks out here to pave pathways. Just it's unlimited what you can do with a lot of the stuff that's left here. So now we've just got to get you and the old mill together, and you can take a little piece of history home with you. As I told you earlier, as we were walking through, so much lumber left over here. This Dixie Yarn, the original building, was built on these 2x8 by 14 creosote treated boards. And a rough estimate is there's 50,000 of them laying here and in great shape. Brad, pan the camera around. Of course, they're very heavy to deal with, but they are incredible specimens of wood for decks, for piers, all kinds of uses. We need to get rid of these things. People, you can use them. I've built 2 decks out of them personally, and they turned out fantastic. These boards are all going on 100 years old and still in perfect condition as far as any weather damage. There is none. They'll sit for another 200-300 years. Really good stuff. We've got it here. We need to get rid of it. If you got a need, if you think you can put any of these boards to use, then contact us. We'll set you up.
Come see for yourself why Larry Hill Ford in Cleveland has been awarded Tennessee Ford Dealer of the Year for the 3rd year in a row. Go to dealerrater.com, read the reviews, then decide where you want to buy your next new Ford.
I'm down here at Larry Hill Ford in Cleveland, Tennessee. I just got an awesome deal on a new Focus. You should come down here and see these guys. They'll give you a great deal.
Take I-75 to exit 20 and go 1 mile east, or go online to larryhillonline.com.
Welcome back to Golfsoup, ladies and gentlemen. As there you see the golf course on the other side. We're starting to lose quite a bit of light here today, but Brad's shooting that shot just to show you how close we are. We've had to look at this for going on 3 years, almost 3 years now. For the last 8 months, it's just been nothing but a pile of rubble. In fact, the overgrowth over here, as far as the weeds, not only inside the fence but outside the fence on the property that it was on, was so bad that it was actually inviting criminal activity. I took the initiative to get it cleaned up. It took a lot to get that one little section mowed over there, but now we're weed eating all around the mill so that we can keep a better eye on what's going on. You know, people are dumping furniture, you know, just backing their trucks up and throwing all kind of stuff over in here, and that's what this place has become. People see what is a dump. And what are they going to do, Brad? They're going to dump, Brad says. So I know it's an issue for the people of Lupton, Tennessee, Lupton City, Tennessee, and Fairfax Heights. Not everybody sees it because it's off the beaten path, but it's a terrible thing what's happened here. Cleaning it up completely will take a lot of parties working together to give me the go-ahead to bring equipment in and do it. But in the meantime, we would like you guys, anything you see that you think you can use. Hey, if you think you can make money out here, and I promise you, you can if you have half of any initiative at all, there's money to be made for everybody here. So whether you need material or want to sell some of the material that we have out here, as I said, Brad and I have salvage rights to it now, and we're ready to go to work. We're ready to start cleaning it up. And I know it won't be a fast cleanup doing it this way, but hey, one truckload at a time is better than nothing happening over here. So thank you guys for tuning us in this week. I'm sorry we didn't have any golf. I know it's a very different show, but I'm pretty passionate about this piece of property, and I have become a part of the community over here. I've been playing golf here at Lupton City for 8 years. I've going into my 6th year as the owner-operator of the golf course, and I feel as bad and want to do as much as the citizens who live here. So with Brad Allen's help and a lot of other people, and hopefully all my viewers at Golfsoup, some of you guys will step up and give us some help. Maybe we can get something done here. Running out of time, so for myself, for Brad Allen, for all those at Golfsoup, I'm James Leith, and we'll see you on the course.